Greetings. I am Carol Mahlstedt from Compassionate Ridgefield, and we're here today for Stress Busters, How Ridgefield Copes, to talk with Jake Greenwood, who's the principal of Ridgefield High School. And we're so happy to talk to him about how he copes with stress. We know he must have some. And the coping strategies he uses to manage his stress. And we also have Megan Searfoss from the Ridgefield Running Company, the owner of Ridgefield Running Company. So you may have guessed that Jake's going to talk to us about running and how it helps him. So welcome, Jake.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us about what it's like to be running a pretty large public high school in the midst of a pandemic.
Well, it's definitely day to day. So, I'm happy to be here, and I love the job and I love the kids, but it certainly is a challenge. Definitely not business as usual this year. Every day is a new day, and so just try to take it as we can.
So, what kinds of things stress you out the most?
Like if pandemics.
Yeah. Like,
I think that one of the challenging parts of working in a high school is that it's a people business, and you're dealing with people and their children, and that's always highly stressful. And I know that from obviously having 3 of my own kids, that my reactions to the things with my kids is coming truly from the heart, and that can be challenging when schools are trying to run as organizations, and so it can be a stressful back and forth situation, and we do the best we can to try and find common ground and do what's best for kids all the time. So
well, I hear things are going pretty well, so kudos to you for that. So how do you find yourself managing stress, after school or on the weekends? Like, what do you do to sort of take care of yourself?
Well, I definitely am a exerciser. That's something I've always been interested in, and one of the things that's evolved over time as I've moved through administrative positions is just keeping track of exercise in terms of doing it on a daily basis for shorter spurts of time. I definitely was a large exerciser. I don't know if that's a word, but Megan knows what I mean, where I could go out on the weekends and run 30 miles and then bike 100, and I just
30 miles.
Yeah, that doesn't seem that crazy to me, but it's a lot of people. But now I'm pretty consistent. Every morning I have a 5-mile loop, Monday through Friday, outdoors, always outdoors. Shoes on.
Like the postman, like rain, snow, sleet.
It doesn't bother me too much. I might maybe hit the treadmill, once a week as the winter comes. If the roads are icy more than anything, it's not usually the temperature that keeps me in. But I just find for me that it really focuses me in the morning. It helps sort of collect my thoughts, get the fresh air in. Just alone with my thoughts. I wear my AirPods, which I think are the greatest invention ever, because I take notes as I run. And so I write a lot of notes to myself during that 40 minutes in the morning. And then as soon as I get to school in the morning, first thing I do is I check my phone and I look at all the notes and organize my day. So I've been doing that for a long time.
So you mentioned that on our preliminary call. So obviously this is like audio notes. So you sort of talk to yourself as you're running about how you're going to work on something during the day.
Yeah, it does sound a little crazy the way when it comes out of your mouth and it says I'm talking to myself.
I'm not terribly tech savvy, so like this fascinates me actually.
That's pretty much it though. Yeah. Just you say, "Hey Siri," and you tell it what you want, and it'll take notes for you. And that's basically how I organize my day. A lot of mornings is I clear my mind on the run, and while I'm running, a lot of things pop in my mind, and do this, don't forget that. And sort of organize myself for the day. And when I get to work, it's all there.
That's so totally brilliant. Because, at the running store, and when I talk about running quite a bit, I talk about the fact that it is a sort of aerobic meditation. And when you're getting out, like Jake's saying, he's doing a 5-mile loop every day, and he gets out, his mind doesn't even know where, he doesn't even have to think about where he's going. He's just getting it done. And it's kind of that sort of meditation that's happening where he's raising his heart rate and getting his mind moving. I always tell people, don't run with music, don't run with podcasts, listen to what your brain has. And I kind of always jokingly say, why would I run with music? I have like 50 voices going on in my conversations going on in my head at the same time. But to use your AirPods in that way to make notes for the day is awesome. I'm taking that one down.
Yeah, it's pretty original.
Yeah.
But what I'm fascinated by is, Jill Biden mentioned, if you saw her speech, or I saw some articles, she was talking about running. She's a runner. But she doesn't think about anything. Like, she tries to just run and, I guess, sort of in a meditative way, kind of empty her head of thoughts, so that when she's done with her run, she feels clearer. I don't know if I'm explaining that very well. So it's interesting that there's sort of two different approaches to that.
She really tries to be no negative thoughts. I think what she was saying is, I don't want to have anything negative. Running is really a time to resolve. And I can go out the door with a slam because I'm mad at the dog or my husband or something else, and I come back and I'm a whole new person. So that time that you can use to sort of sort out your day and figure out what's going to happen, and I sometimes solve even somebody else's problem on my run.
So Jake, talk to us about how you started off as a runner. I mean, I know you've done Ironmans, and in fact, Meg has been your coach. So I know you've been running a long time. But for high school students who may be watching this and aren't into running or even walking right now, like, what would you say to them? Like, how did you get started?
That's a good question. My first experiences with running, frankly, my dad's a runner, so that's something I just grew up with. He was a pretty staunch, three times a week, all the way into his 60s. He's always been 5 miles 3-4 times a week, and so I think maybe I'm hardwired that way. I don't know, but as I got into college, I found that it was, again, just something easy to do to stay in shape, because you were busy with all your courses and what was going on. And so it was an easy way to, kind of stay focused. And as I got older and started.
Oh, we lost you. Oh. So Megan, while his audio is coming back.
There he is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, totally. And
we lost you, Jake. Can you go back over that?
Oh, sure. Sorry about that. Sorry, but the Wi-Fi is a little glitchy today. I don't know what's going on here. It's because there's kids in here hybrid learning. There's probably 85 devices going.
Probably. So we lost you at you took up running in college because it helped you with your stress during all your multiple responsibilities.
Yeah, I think that's really what it's about. For me, it's always been sort of an escape, in a lot of ways. So, and it evolved over time. I met a really nice group of friends in Ridgefield at the high school who were also runners and bikers. And that's how it sort of evolved into, looking at, longer distances. And then somehow Meg and I crossed paths through the high school. I honestly don't remember exactly, but maybe through Jeff LaSala.
Maybe.
Yeah, he's also an Ironman, a teacher at Ridgefield, who's retired now, and that really sparked my interest in Ironman and stuck with that for a long time. And now I've been doing ultra marathons. That's something I've been in. So I've done a couple of 50 milers and lots of 50Ks, and so just really stayed active. And I did my own 50K a couple weeks ago because I think got canceled. So I can even do it alone. It doesn't really bother me. I've done a lot of them by myself. 5, 6, 7 hours alone doesn't really bother me. I actually really enjoy it.
That is so impressive. And talk about a lesson in perseverance. But Megan, talk to us about how somebody new to running might get started.
It's really just stepping out the door. It really, truly is. We have a sign in our store that says, "Not a runner," because most of the people that walk into Ridgefield Running, they will say, "I'm not a runner, but," and then you start to talk to them and you find out, actually, we're all runners. We're all built to run. It's part of what we are as animals, and it's not like tennis. You don't have to learn how to swing correctly. Yeah, there is some tips on running form and that sort of thing, but instinctively we all know how to do it. And I think the hardest thing for most people is to think that they're supposed to look a certain way, have certain clothing, run a certain pace in order to run. And Jake will tell you that when he trains for an ultra, that pace is entirely different. Some of it's even walking than he would if he was to run the New York City Marathon, where he's going to be at a pretty big clip. So stepping out the door, and really kind of committing yourself to 30 minutes, not of running to start, because we have to load our tendons and ligaments pretty carefully, otherwise we get injured. So a minute of running with 4 minutes of walking times about 8. I always kind of say 40 minutes is that really good time. That raising and lowering of your heart rate is really, really wonderful. Not only cardiovascularly, blood flow to your brain, your ideas start happening, and then as you start loading that 1 and 4, then you go the next week 1.5, 3.5, and kind of do that until you can run.
You just build it up.
And most people think, oh, I have to run an 8-minute mile, and they go out there and they try and run that mile, and they make it a mile, which is going to take 8 to 10 minutes if they run really hard, or 12 minutes. And then they're like, wow, that really hurt. That wasn't fun. I didn't enjoy it. It's more, and I think what Jake's talking about, and what people need to understand when you're talking to somebody like him who does ultra marathons, is getting into sort of this rhythm and this cadence where everything starts to flow together, and it's not where you're totally out of breath. And we call it the Brady Bunch time, where if you can sing the song, the Brady Bunch, or SpongeBob, or whatever is current, and you're running at the same time, that's the pace that you need to be at, and that's called endurance pace, and that's where the most benefits of running.
Oh, that fascinates me. So if you can sing a song while you're running, you've got a good.
Yeah. And if I was running with Jake and he's telling me a story, and then he says, oh, hey, what do you want for dinner tonight? I don't want to be running where I'm like, I want, and I can't answer it. I want to say, hey, Jake, I want a pizza with sausage and mushroom and whatever. We have that conversation and get that pizza ordered and not have to repeat it. So kind of getting yourself understanding that you don't need to start at an 8-minute pace, and you don't need to run a mile fast. You just need to get out and spend time there. So trying to give yourself a half an hour to 40 minutes is much greater of raising and lowering your heart rate than it is to try and just run a mile straight out and then next day try and run 2 miles.
But you're also, underneath all that, you're also putting your finger on something that seems important, and that is to not judge, your startup. Just get out there and do it without really judging how fast you're going, what your stride looks like. Just keep at it for 40 minutes and walk and run and just keep building up.
Yeah, I think that, it is, we have some really fit people in this area, and people that work really hard to look good and be fit and strong. And those people may not be able to run a mile like you can run a mile, just because your body looks a little bit different. I have run plenty of races where somebody that weighs 50 to 70 pounds more than me just flies right by. That they have this nice endurance. Their engine is much better than mine. So it's not really how you look. It's finding the run that's right for you, and getting out and moving. And Jake and I have talked about it quite a bit over the last 2 weeks or so. It's really getting outside and making that time outside. Treadmills are great. Peloton's great. All these apps now that we have that are free are awesome for exercise, but you're paying attention to somebody else, and somebody else is telling you how to do it. And then that somebody else looks a certain way, or you're thinking, no, I'm never going to look like her. And, sometimes those aren't the most positive sessions to have, or you're always competing against somebody. So getting out and being responsible only for yourself and going the way that you feel is probably the best thing that you can do for yourself and your self-confidence.
Terrific. And I understand the store, Ridgefield Running Company, has some kind of beginner's clinic that people.
Yeah, we sure do. Yeah, we have the Forward Together Form Clinic. We had one last night in Darien. It's just a 45-minute free clinic. You just come comfortable, and we just give you a couple little tips on how to get started. Really fun. We answer questions and talk about what we were talking about just now with how to get into that endurance pace, how to load your tendons and ligaments so that you're successful, and running can be part of your life plan.
So before we close, I thought I would swing back to Jake for a second, because you're involved in Ironman. So that also involves biking and swimming, at least I think, right? So I'm wondering, does biking and swimming do the same thing for you? Do you find that you use it in the same way?
Not me. I mean, a lot of people would say yes. I'm sure everybody has a favorite, event of the three, but not me. I hate swimming. It's never going to be something I enjoy. It's work to me. I enjoy biking. I do a lot of biking still, but biking is another. There's a lot more to it. I mean, the thing about running that I love is my alarm goes off at 4 o'clock, and at 4:18, I am shoes down out the door. And I think that's what I love about it is it's immediate, it's done. And by 5:15, I'm back in the house and, making coffee. I don't know. It's just, to me, it's very therapeutic. And I give anybody a lot of credit who does anything. I don't think you have to do any particular distance or time. I agree with Megan. She does you should talk about your frozen feet challenge. I love that. I think that's one of the smartest things, and it keeps so many people motivated. I love that stuff. So particularly in the winter, getting people outdoors, I think, is so important, especially with a healthcare crisis. Get outside, get some fresh air.
Right. Is there any kind of running? I know that, of course, about the track teams at the high school, and my son was in them, and they're great. But is there any kind of running club for kids who just want to learn how to run?
I'm not sure. That would be more of a community. I'm sure that there's some clubs in town. I know there are here in Southbury where I live, but I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Maybe something for us to think about in the future. Yeah. So, well, thank you both for helping us think about running as a way to relieve stress. I think this has been really, really interesting. And I thank you for your participation and wish you well, especially you, Jake. I know you have a big job taking care of all those kids and all those faculty and staff. And
he's good. He's good as long as he gets his run in. I think he's pretty ready for everything, right, Jake?
I know. I'm hoping everybody heard.
I'm going right now. I was waiting for this because my kids, with two of my kids on the bus, and I'm going to go right now and take a quick run before they get home. So
I'm hoping all of your high school students heard that you get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and you're out the door. Like, that's
I don't want them
really,
to do. They need sleep, but
that's impressive. Anyway, good luck to you both. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Meg.
See ya. Take care.